Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space with Quita and Chap. We have some lovely guests today. Thanksgiving holiday just passed, or whatever you call that holiday that just passed, right? Like all different kinds of things. I've heard some folks calling it Indigenous Peoples Day
I've heard
or
that.
Women's Day. So we'll just say that folks had off Thursday, right? So we got to enjoy that for some wellness, whatever that looked like for you. Some folks are shopping today, but hello, folks. I am Laquita Chansey, the founder and director of Small to More Homes. And Chapo, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we're going to get into these lovely guests.
I'm Chaplain Lovelace. I'm full-time volunteer chaplain for Baltimore City through the police department. Partner with a lot of nonprofits across the city. Quita and I, we make our rounds and make sure that people have what they need, along with a lot of other things we do. This being one of those things. So our show, Shared Space, we decided to take our show and give the mic to people in the community who are doing the good work, and people who are struggling to share their truth, and people who are doing well to share their truth, because sometimes we need to know what it looks like to do well. So just all encompassing. Our show is a shared space with our people, our community, our family. So welcome. Thank you guys for watching. And let's get right to it. Quita. I'll share real quick. The young ladies with us today were part of. I met them initially at a brunch pitch that was hosted by Tasmere Gathers with DM Firm.
Yep.
And so it was for Black-owned businesses.
Yep.
And they got to meet Sean Stinnett. They got to meet the director, casting director for Shark Tank. I thought that was pretty cool. That was surreal.
Mark Clark was there.
Yeah, Mark Clark, absolutely. Which these guys were also on his show, so you guys can share and plug that interview a little bit too, because I heard good things about that. So without further ado, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
I guess I'll go first.
All right.
Yes.
So my name is Ednesha Saulsbury. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in New York City, and I'm basically a therapist now in private practice, and I'm also the co-founder of Black Woman Be Whole. So hey, do we say hi to people when they come in? I don't know.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah,
I need to know what's going on.
Yes, we got people checking in from Oakland, California.
Okay,
Oakland.
Okay, Oakland.
Hey, Art.
So yes, I am in New York City doing the work. And let me tell you something, being a therapist in the pandemic has been like being in a room on fire.
Yeah.
However, I'm still here. I'm still seeing people, but I've had clients tell me I was the most consistent thing in their lives during the pandemic. And I appreciate that I'm able to do that for someone. And my therapist has been in my life the whole pandemic, and my friends and my family. So I am very grateful. And I'm very grateful that I am able to share myself with people on a daily basis and be on their journey with them. So very grateful.
I love that. I love that. And who else do we have with us today?
Hey, everybody. My name is Kimberly Moore. I am the other half of the dynamic duo that is Black Woman Be Whole. I like to call us that. Co-creator, co-founder, whatever you want to give the title to. We birthed this beautiful thing. I'm in nonprofit, and I have been in nonprofit for, dating myself a couple of decades. Working in a variety of spaces. So giving back, helping has always been a thing for me. And yeah, I'm actually calling in from South Carolina because I'm still with family, but I will be heading back to New York. So that's who I am. Kimberly Moore, co-founder, co-creator, Black Woman Be Whole, and bestie to Ednesha of 25 plus years. So let's make note of that.
We've been in this game for a while together. We knew each other since high school, actually. We didn't know each other very well. We didn't like each other very well in high school. However, we went to the same college. As soon as we got to campus, I don't know, we just became besties. And so it's been that for a really long time. And so
wait, let me ask you this.
Go.
First of all, what school are we going to shout out our school? Is that
we love our school.
Okay.
It was PWI. It's okay.
So it was
right. Okay. That's why I was like, do we shout out our school? Because I know some people, we have love-hate relationships with these PWIs. So
I think that Kim and I have a love relationship because we still go back all the time. We do
Yeah.
things on campus. Actually, we've been back to campus since we wrote our workbook, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
And we did like a workshop with the students. And so we go to all of our reunions. And
Yes.
so, yeah,
Well,
like
absolutely, we shout out our school because they support us, they elevate us.
That's
they
right.
share the platform, they share the space,
Yes.
they understand the mission. So what is the school, y'all?
It's called Hobart and William Smith. So Hobart is
Okay.
the men's school.
Okay.
William Smith is the women's school. It's in upstate New York City. No, excuse me,
Okay.
upstate New York State. I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
about 6 hours from New York City.
Okay, and so I understand that being the women's school and the men's school, I went to Spelman, but right across the street was Morehouse,
Yes.
and very much so. Like what people also don't say is that Clark and Morris Brown is there, and we can take classes at all of those schools whenever we want. Same tuition, all of that. So it's really interesting how that works.
So
Okay.
the interesting thing is, really quickly though, we lived together. So we were just two separate schools on the same campus. We went to classes together. We lived together. We just had different
Wow.
deans. That's
How
really what,
about
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And
So
your
we
degree
did
was
everything
from
together.
Your school. Your degree was from your school.
Yeah. So our degrees
Oh.
is from William Smith because that's the women's school.
How about that? Okay, but listen, however it gets done, right? Because
So it was
education
men around.
matters. Okay. Okay, so we go back to the school, and so you've already mentioned this. You said you go back to the school, they elevate the workbook.
Yes.
So, and I've seen the workbook. So is
Yes,
that
you
where we're
have.
going to start? Is that
Or
tell 'em.
we can start with the workbook. Kim, you know what? Why don't we start from how it all started? 'Cause
Yes.
I think that
Okay.
that's a pretty interesting
This-
story,
There's
actually.
an origin story to this. So
So I'm gonna let you start, girl.
it was I went through a breakup. I was in a relationship for 12 years and I went through a breakup and I did not know how to handle it. So I mean, I kind of had like a little breakdown. I think name it now. I could totally say that like
Kinda.
a lot of my
She got
friends,
low, girl. Ain't nobody hear from her. I was like,
I
"Where's my
disappeared.
friend? Is
I
she
disappeared.
okay? You
I
needed
had to
time
move
to
back in
heal."
with my mama because it was
Yeah.
like 2-income living situation to 1-income living situation.
And don't nobody want to think about their money. Like if you weren't thinking about your money before, like thinking about money is stressful when it's not usually something you're used to doing. So that's trauma, sis. So I understand.
Yes. So
I'm sorry.
mental health, the finances, the relationships, I was going through it. And so I think I read this article that talked about there being more single and divorced women than there would be married women. And I was like, I'm in that statistic. What's happening right now? What's going on?
Right.
I've got to get my mental health together. I've got to get my money together. I've got to get all these things together.
Right.
And
Let me
so I
put
just
down
came
this
up with
tape
the
and work on
concept.
me.
Yeah. And I said, and I wondered, like, what are other women going through with this issue? And so I decided to have a conference. And Ednesha was one of my presenters, and she talked about self-care and mental health. And when I tell you the women in the room lit up, they were eating it up because they were going through things. And we had a bona fide therapist that looked like them in the room talking to them about their mental health and self-care.
Yes. And we don't see that often. Like Chap isn't on here to tell you about it, but I know I've mentioned it to you all. We do a weekly wellness walk, and it is hard to get Black doctors because the people who we're speaking with, like we do have a mixed group of folks, but more importantly, the women who run the program all look like me. So we want doctors that look like us, that represent us, because we know that there are declines in Black maternal health and these things need to be addressed. So you held the conference, you came to the conference, you supported.
Yeah.
No, she presented. She was one of my presenters.
Okay, so she presented at the conference, and then
the result was like, we need to do this bigger. We need to do this for Black women. It was a mixed group. It was very diverse, but I could tell that people wanted to talk about things and they didn't feel comfortable or safe. So I said to Ednesha, like, let's do something bigger, like us together. Like, I want to take this bigger. I want to make it like about women. I want to talk about mental health, and I want to talk about mental health to Black women. It's women that look like us.
I think for me, it was big because as a therapist, I see people individually. I mean, I see couples too, but like I can only see but so many women.
Right.
And let's be clear, Black therapists only make up 4.1% of all therapists.
Right.
So when you find a Black therapist, you find a unicorn straight up.
Yes.
So, but I can only see so many people. So I was like, what about the power of the collective, the group?
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's some women I would see individually. I was like, you know what? You would be really good in a group because you really think that the issues that you're having, you are alone. When no, there's so many other people out here are experiencing this.
Right.
So what if you were in a room with them and you can understand them? And also you can get that support. Because a real part of like Black Woman Be Whole and its origin is sisterhood.
Right.
Like, who am I without my sisters?
Right. Absolutely. Listen, I'm the oldest of 3 girls. So quite frankly, I really feel that like to my heart, soul, and root of my feet, you know, but even reaching out to my girlfriends. So that is so beautiful. I love that you said that like you found a place where women would be good in a group setting, because sometimes we find that trauma bonds are found in those group settings. But no, if we feel isolated, we actually need that bond to break so that we're not feeling isolated. So that's I love that is put in perspective.
I think a big part of it also is we wanted you to be free of the male gaze. Absolutely. And free of the white gaze.
I was about to say, because there's some other gazes.
Oh yeah, okay. No, you got to hit all the important gazes, the males and the white gaze. And then it was like, I want you to come and feel supported. I want you to come and feel valued. I want you to come and feel seen and feel heard. And a lot of times as a Black woman, I don't feel that. Because we are our clients. Like, we realize that like we're doing this for other women, but in essence, we were doing it for us.
Yes. And we went to so many different kind of events and spaces,
workshops, all different things.
Yeah.
But we weren't centered.
Yeah.
We was like, yo, where do they center? Like, I'm hearing this story, but like, this is a white woman's story. Like, this is not my reality.
Right. There's so much privilege in that story that I really can't even deal with it right now. That's usually where I'm at with it. I'm going to just be honest. Like, what? This is what we're complaining about? Like that is a Tuesday for me. I'm talking about like the daily stuff that happens. This, like, what are we like, girl? So, I mean, not to minimize anybody else's trauma, but it's being able to be in a room and somebody understand what you're saying and you don't sound like you're speaking a foreign language, because even that creates barriers unnecessarily. So,
and also judgment, right?
Yes,
about
also.
Story.
Yes. It's
right,
so much.
My story may not be your story, but I think there's a piece of you that gets it. That's really all of it. That's all you want, is somebody to get it and understand it.
I can relate.
I don't have to have shared the same thing.
My auntie go through that. I saw my grandma go through that. I saw my sister go through that. Like, someone that I love has already been through that. So I already have the empathy that you need to be supported.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So then there's more. There's more. So
let me tell you, girl, it took a long time. Let's be clear. You know what? Let me tell y'all something. People out there who like, I'm going to start a business. Yeah, it's no joke. I think people think, I had someone say to us, like, they were like, because when things got real hard in the pandemic and we're trying to kind of get this business started, they was like, you know, like, this should be fun. I was like, I don't know if that's quite the right word. This is real hard work, along with my full-time job of seeing clients all day and being a caretaker. I take care of my dad. Like, I got like 10 jobs around here, ma'am.
Right.
Like, this is not easy.
Like, I got bills to pay.
Hello.
I have healing to do. I have trauma to work on. Like, this ain't really about fun. This is about work.
It's work, right? But, you know, I think that we kept seeing like, well, what's the end goal? Right? Like, what do we want women to experience?
Yeah.
Right.
And so we started to break down, like, what are the pieces of this, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing about Black Woman Be Whole, so what we didn't say, we do workshops, guys. So that's a big part of what we do. We do events with Black women. We've done panels when we talk about mental health. So the focus is mental and emotional health, right, of Black women.
Right.
But the pieces of that is we got to talk about communication. Like healthy communication. What does that look like?
Right.
Because in healthy communication, we need to have that in our intimate partner relationships and in our regular friendships, our family relationships, all of it. But every magazine is going to tell you how to keep a man, but they don't tell you how to keep a friend.
Right. Absolutely.
So we had communication. And I think for me, I was like, Kim, we really have to explore emotions.
Yeah.
Right.
So much in my work, I see women and also men. And let me just be clear, most of my clientele, 90% are people of color. So they either happy, sad, or angry. I'm like, we a lot more in between, y'all.
Right. Right. Being able to put your finger on that thing and really put a name to it and being
Right.
able to express it is empowering.
We got to expand that emotional vocabulary.
Right. Like,
And
are
so
you
that was a big
angry?
piece.
Are you frustrated? Or do you feel disrespected? Like, like I can see how they might seem like they're the same, but they're
But they're
actually
not.
the same thing.
And a lot of it be disappointment.
Ooh, but those are expectations that we had and assumptions that we made or projected in a lot of
Okay,
ways.
Quita.
Come on
Okay,
now.
Quita.
Hold up. Bang, bang, bang.
I felt like you were about to hit it with a 1-2.
Quita isn't a therapist, but Quita has needed therapy. Okay, sis will tell you. All right. So yes, okay, y'all give it to me. I'ma stop.
No, you good. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah.
Give me.
I
Let
think
me know more.
it's also, when we talked about a lot of the work that we do is really looking at what happened in your formative years,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where all the things come from.
Yeah.
The three of us right here on this camera, we bring all the things that have been said to us, done to us, all the things, and we have to understand how it helps, how it makes us show up, and that conditioning that needs to be undone in order for us to be healed and whole. Oh, thank you, Tajmir. We love you. And so really looking at how do we do that? We came methodology, the people, the labels, and life events. That's the trifecta. If you have those three things in your life, they have shaped who you are. They give you your language, your culture, your values.
Yes.
Some of which might not be good or worth carrying into adulthood. And so that's what that exploration is about, and doing it in a safe space. There's life events experienced, like rite of passage. We've all been children, young girls, adulthood, and then we've later on some other things in our lives.
Right.
And how we deal with them really does impact how we've been conditioned to deal with other things. So,
Right.
If your family's angry, chances are you greet a lot of things with anger, or if you've been silenced, as a lot of girls have been, there may be some timidity, something where there's not a lot of kind of advocacy or assertion in communication. So really looking at how have we been given things, and how have we internalized them.
Right.
How they help us show up as the people that we think we are. And let's undo some of that, because it wasn't all healthy.
Right. I mean, and then I think about when people start to think about those things, I think about the things that like we knew not to say around people outside of the house. Like we knew it was wrong, but we also knew that we couldn't discuss it with other folks. So when things are wrong and you can't discuss it with people, is it ever going to really be resolved or addressed? Like, so just continuing to perpetuate those things, but then also understanding, well, that's the culture of the family. And so that's what we're going to continue to do.
Right.
And maybe in therapy, you find out that wasn't so good. And we're just trying to heal. We're just trying to heal.
I think the interesting thing is that's why my work is still so taboo. Therapy, right? Because you are telling someone that you don't know the family business.
Right.
Right. And so many times everybody was like, whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. And so now we have people who are suffering in silence because they're not telling anyone. I have clients who their friends don't know they see me. Some of their family doesn't know. But let me tell you something. I am so grateful, and I hate to say it, but mental health is trending. Let's be clear.
Oh,
it's all over Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's
COVID
everywhere.
Unfortunately, COVID got it popping. Folks were tripping out being stuck in the house and feeling like they didn't have rights or whatever they were going through. But yes, it's popping now.
But so it made it okay, right? But I was telling people, I'm in private practice now, but I was like, people were coming to therapy before that. But let me tell you, when that pandemic hit, it hit different. Okay. And I was seeing, I have a wait list. You know what I mean? Like things got crazy. And so I would always talk to people about like, how can you let people know that this is all right? Right. And so as a therapist, my mission is to really normalize conversations around therapy. Just us talking and normalize conversations around mental health, because mental health is something we all have. And that's the issue. People think mental health and mental illness, same thing. No, mental health is how you think, feel, and behave. We all have that. That's it. Think, feel,
Right.
behave. That's it.
Same
That makes up all of
we have
us.
physical health, right?
So
That's it.
right. And my hope is that we can start to talk about mental health the same way we talk about physical health and
we
prioritize it in the same way. So like
Yeah.
if you go to get your physical every year, why you can't go get 3 sessions with a therapist to just do a check-in?
Right.
Like, so how we doing?
I call them tune-up.
That's it. A tune-up.
Like I'm going to get a tune-up because I got some stuff going on in here that I just can't get out of my head. I got to talk through it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to give it all to the friends. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'll just end with this. It's not fair to give it all to your friends. Right.
And that's somebody that's an unlicensed therapist, because my friends definitely call me. I'm just like, where's my insurance? Where's my rate? Because I'm definitely out here doing the work of an unlicensed therapist.
Okay. And it's not fair to you, right? Because I think that relationships are reciprocal, right? But the thing about therapy, it's not. That's the beauty. There is a place that is just for you.
Right.
Like, I don't talk to you about what's going on with me as a therapist. We're not going back and forth. It's a space that I hold just for you. And we can talk about anything. All the stuff that you can't tell somebody else, you can tell me. Like when people come to me and they say like, oh, I don't feel like I could say that about my mom. You can say whatever you want about your mom in therapy. And I'll understand.
Right.
And that's how we replicate some of those things in Black Woman Be Whole.
Yeah.
We're having really deep, in-depth conversations about things that you can't have with your family or your friends because they may not be ready to, but you need a space in order to unpack that. Because I think the difference with a therapist is that you don't have that reciprocity, right? So culturally, we want that. We want to hear something, or we want some validation or affirmation, or we want it in a different way, or like we want someone to see us. Like, I hear you because I've been there. And so that's what we do in our group setting, because it's important for people to know that they're not alone in their experiences, women.
Yeah.
In particular. And
I love the group settings. I love it. I think that people hearing and talking about it, and then being more than just one-on-one or 3-on-3, it being a group setting and people actually talking about mental health, very much like the weekly wellness walks that we do.
Right.
I say stuff like, oh, well, I have high anxiety, and I just say it, and people kind of look at me like, oh, do you? Like,
I love that you are naming it, Quita. Let me be clear. You are saying what it is. I don't feel some type of way. No, you said I'm feeling high anxiety. Let's be clear about what it is.
Let me tell you this. What blew my mind is that I found out through like a fellowship that I did that I was a high functioning anxious person. Like, I never knew, because it showed up like as me being always over prepared. It showed up in positive ways that no one was criticizing me, so it was nothing to look at. But then I'm looking at this Myers-Briggs or whatever the heck it was, and I'm like, yo, like, now it makes sense, because I always tell people it's hard being me, and they're like, why is it hard being you? I'm like, because you don't know what's going on in this brain.
Right. Wait a minute,
girl. I was just
listen. How much prep do you do? You understand? Because I always tell people I prepared like 12 different ways. I prepare for the A through Z. I prepared the MacGyver way. I prepared
what if they don't have a projector or computer or I don't know, a screen that I like? All of those things are in my trunk.
I do disaster planning. It's called disaster planning. I learned that, like, you prepare for all the disasters. So let's also talk about the fact that that's it. But that's also
raining. You tired, girl? We tired.
That's an ADHD trait. We are good in situations, in emergency situations. Like, I got a paper clip and a pencil. We're gonna make it work.
MacGyver this thing, sis. But again, it showed up positively because I was always being able to fix something or whatever. But I'm like, no, this is really anxiety. This is not healthy. My brain needs to slow down. And also, it's like, let's be real, it's kind of like a defense mechanism that I formed in the trauma, trying to be in corporate America, and they ain't want me there no way. We're not going to get into that today.
But it's real. And I'm going to say this. I would gather that at least 90% of our population has anxiety. Let's be clear. I don't even know. Number one, I don't know how you are Black and not anxious. That's the first part. But I also don't know how you live in America and not be anxious.
Right. Our environment breeds anxiety.
It does in some
Before
type of
we
way,
get out
shape,
the
or
house.
form.
And now, and then you add the pandemic on top of this, and now people have to really sit with themselves, right? Like you mentioned before, and really like do a lot of deep diving into things that they don't have the tools
They're not
or the
ready.
preparation for. So that's why we came up with our book. Hey sis, are you okay? Our mental health workbook. Get it? Get it.
Yes.
You know?
And you see the brown girl on the cover. Let's be clear.
Yes. For us.
We want people to feel seen.
Yeah. Because it matters.
It does matter.
It does. Listen, I'm at the point in my life where not even intentionally, but I'll notice, oh, there's no Black people in this show. I'm not watching this. Like, where the Black characters? We've been watching for 10 minutes. I don't see any Black character. And then if the Black character is the only Black character and experience too much trauma, I'm not watching this. Like, why is the Black
not what I
no? She like Issa Rae. Who you want to win? Everybody Black.
Everybody Black.
Everybody
That's
Black.
Me. Everybody else can get awards too, but I want us to win.
I love it.
I think we really wanted women to be introspective, self-reflective, and really take that time with themselves, right? Like, yes, there's work that you can do in a group, there's work that you can do in therapy, but there's also some work that you can start on your own. And in this book, we want to talk about healthy communication because some of us don't know what that looks like. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right? We want to talk about how to set a boundary. Because I'm going to tell you, in a Black household, ain't no boundary. What you mean a boundary? What you talking about? No. What, like, huh? Right. Everything is supposed to be like, okay, I'll figure it out. I can do it. I'm comfortable.
I'll put it in my schedule. I'll make time for it. No. Right. Listen, when I was like in high school, somebody told me, you're good at saying no. I was like, how are you bad at saying no? But I have been in therapy already. Like,
look at that.
Didn't even know.
You've been doing the work from young.
I was just telling people, no. Didn't even know it was a boundary. Didn't know that was self. So, okay. So you teaching folks how to set boundaries. What teaching folks how to communicate, because being able to express your feelings is empowering. Being able to put a name to it and then communicate it to others, because then they're like, you know what? I'm feeling that too. Right. That is also what I'm experiencing. I thought I was alone, but really it's just, I'm highly anxious about my daughter's wedding, whatever. Yeah. But at least you can put a finger to it. Or sometimes you don't know why you're anxious, because that happens to me. I just wake up like,
oh no, it can start from the wake up. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let's be clear. Nothing had to happen.
It's right.
No, but it's just like you're just thinking about anticipating all the things that could go wrong.
The disaster.
Disaster. Disaster planning. I call myself Office of Emergency Management on the low, because you need something done, you better come to me because I'm gonna help you.
Yeah. A to Z.
That's
A to
right.
Z. Okay, so what else do we touch on?
So we talk about values. Because I think it's so important, because we get our values from our parents, right? But what happens when I become an adult and those values no longer work for me?
Yeah, they don't align anymore.
They don't align with who I am. And I think that a lot of times we don't take the time to figure out, well, what do I value? Do I value honesty? Do I value loyalty? Like, what's important to me? Because what my parents what was important to them that they taught me may not be important to me today. Right. And I don't know if we give ourselves the time to think through that. Right. So we put that in the book.
May have been brought up because of survival.
Absolutely. They could have been dangerous and toxic, right? But they were a survival mechanism. And now we don't need to survive. Right. Like, we're living, we're thriving. You don't need to
to tell y'all this story, because I was actually talking to my cousin about it. I grew up in in the Bronx, in the projects, Twin Parks, and we always talk about the fact that it felt like our family was like preparing us to be in war, because it was just always like these very random things. And this is like casual violence was really a part of my life. And so I had this hypervigilance of everywhere. I'd be like, okay, this door is here. This here is this here. It was so bizarre when no one understood that. Like, I know where all the doors are. I know, like, this is an exit. I know all sorts of stuff. Like, if somebody comes at me, here's a pen, and I know how to use it. It is so like wild. It's subconscious now, because it's just been that conditioning. And it's like, girl, you live in this apartment. What you doing? Why are you like this?
You know what's funny to me though? But like even in college or hanging out with friends, like we would be somewhere and people would be like, "Oh, the door is over there. I can't sit with my back to the door."
Yes. When you go into a restaurant, like, oh, I need to see the door. I
Like,
can't
are
sit
we
to my
on the
back to the door.
Godfather? Like, what is about to happen? Are they gonna come?
It's
Like,
the conditioning. It's the conditioning. I'm telling you, I promise you, if somebody were to sit down and record the conversations between me and my cousins, and I'm just gonna be real honest. Like, I learned how to carry a razor blade under my freaking tongue when I was like a young girl, because it was like, protect yourself.
I'm not
Because
gonna
you
tell
don't know what could happen.
I've heard that story many times.
Right. I'm not gonna tell you if I did or didn't, but
I'm gonna tell you what's taught to me. I'm gonna tell you what's taught to me. That's what I will tell you.
Yeah, that blows my so I know now to us, it's like, what were we doing? What were we thinking about? But I'm sure at some point, some generation that was a survival tactic that
Yes.
mattered,
Yes.
that was transferred down and
Yeah.
stories were told. And at some
Yeah.
point we needed to like reevaluate, like, oh wait,
Right.
we can't just get hung, y'all. They can't just
Right.
capture us and make us blah blah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there, because I know a lot of the things that we do say, think are cultural, but a lot of it comes from like colonialism. Like, let's be
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. My family growing up in the South, but pre civil rights, definitely was a storyline. But I also want to just make it, that was a value that was taught to me, getting back to the conditioning and, having to unlearn that, like, I can hug people. It's safe, right? Like, there were so many things that I didn't realize, like, were creating barriers between me and people, but it was a safety measure based on someone's upbringing or experiences that they didn't want me to have, or, which I
Don't hug
realized,
people because somebody might touch you inappropriately.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, do I still
But
need
now,
to
how do I undo it? It's just not magically going to be undone. Like, I've got to do some work.
Work on it.
Well, do you remember when I met you all? I'm like, are y'all huggers? Like,
yes, I remember you asked me.
At some point, I had to learn to even ask consent for hugs, like to make that like a thing, because often I would just like embrace people, and I started meeting people that are like, don't hug me. And I'm like, oh.
Right. And you took
and
it
it's not
rude. It had nothing to do
with
with you.
But it's not. But
and
it's
I don't want to offend
fears.
anybody, right? Like, I want to give you your space. I want you to be comfortable around me and not be like, is this crazy lady gonna hug me? Like, no, my bad. Let me create a safe space for people that have that reaction. So so communication. Okay.
So we talk about, are you passive? Are you aggressive? Are you assertive? Because you need to know how you coming off to people. And also, if you are too aggressive, then you're not really caring about what other people want and need, right? But if you're too passive, you're not really caring about what you want or need. So where's that middle ground? And having people see that definition and see like how it shows up in your body language, right? Like, if I'm more passive, I'm probably like looking down. I'm really not looking at you in your eyes. Like, showing people all of these things. How are you showing up in the world? And is that how you want to show up? People don't realize all of this is a choice. How I show up every day is a choice.
Yeah.
I can be different, but I got to work on myself in order to do that, right? Are you using I statements when you talk to people? Because if I tell you, look, Quita, you did this, you're not even listening no more. Now you're feeling defensive.
Right. I feel attacked.
Right. So why don't I tell you, well, I feel this way. I'm not telling you, you made me feel this way. I'm just telling you how I feel. And so can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a lot of tools. Like, it's a lot of stuff that I would use in therapy. And Kim and I were like, how do we put these best practices in a book, in a space where you got it all in one place, right? We got journaling, because listen, you got to get this stuff out your head and onto a paper.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that's a huge one. And then there's like questions like, you know what? Let's write a letter to your younger self, right? Because sometimes we got to forgive ourselves.
I love
for
that.
some of the things that was out of our hands.
Right.
Truly out of our hands. And there's coloring too. Hold on.
Okay, keep going.
We want a little art therapy in here, right? Because coloring is really good for anxiety.
Yes.
You see all the adult coloring books out here.
Yes. Yes.
And we give you little colored pencils too when you buy the book, because we
That's
think
right.
about all of those things. So,
Right.
and there's more stuff in there, but I think it was really, we were thinking about what it was like being in a pandemic.
Yeah.
We put together the book and got it published in the pandemic because we couldn't do workshops. That was a big thing. We couldn't be out there with the people. So like, how do we still get the message and what we're about to them? So that's really where the book came from.
Mm-hmm. And I want to also point out, we talk about emotional vocabulary, going back to that piece that we talked about, just being only able to talk about anger, grief, very sort of emotions that were really easy to explore or like emote to other people. Like anger is a default for a lot of people. But if you're frustrated, or what if you're annoyed, and it's, you go from 0 to 10 really quickly. And, sometimes gauging where you are in like your emotions is really important. And having an expansive vocabulary to identify those things, because if you're angry at everything, then, there's really not a lot of opportunity for you to learn from things.
Right. Oh. Right. I love it.
There's that. And the tools in the back, we give lots of great tools and resources. I think someone said that's invaluable when they looked at the back of the book. They just
there's a whole list of where to find a therapist. And these are all therapists of color, where you can find them. A whole list of places that people don't know about, like melanin and mental health. Some people probably never heard of that. Everyone knows about therapy for Black girls, and I'm glad they do, because it was such an important thing that came about. But there's so many other ones, right? If you're looking for a Latinx therapist, if you are part of the LGBTQIA community, there's that on there, right? So we wanted to make sure that we were a resource to you. If you needed a suicide hotline, like what do you need? Like we trying to take care of you. We basically saying we got you. Like, girl, we got you.
We got you, sis.
We got you, sis.
Every time Black women like do anything, like everybody is like looked out for. Everybody has like, I love it. I love it. Okay, so
which is a gift and a curse, but go ahead.
It is. It's like being a Democrat. Like they're trying to save everybody, so it's hard to just focus on one thing. But it's like no, everybody has a thing. Folks are always marginalized in some way. So yeah, it's a gift and a curse, but somebody got to do it, right? So with that being said, how do folks like get the book? How do we sign up for a workshop? How does it happen? How often? Like how do we do it now? Well, how do you take my money now?
So you come right to Black Woman Be Whole, right? You'll be able to get the book right there. And when we are coming out with new workshops, we put them on there. But let me tell you something. If you're really interested, then you can get a group together and we'll do a workshop with you. Oh yeah, we travel and we do it online. And when it comes to we also have a podcast. Black Woman Be Whole, and it's everywhere you can find a podcast. We've done 2 seasons already. But Kim, you got to tell them that we're coming to Baltimore. So please, since we're talking about we go anywhere, please let them know what's going on when we come to Baltimore.
We coming, be more. We coming. So we want to do the Hey Sis tour, the Hey Sis Are You Okay tour. We're talking to women, all women, about their mental health. And what we're doing is basically coming to Baltimore in May of 2023. And we are going to do a 2-day event where we are talking. We got panels, we've got workshops. We're involving all sorts of businesses that are complementary to mental health. So we're talking about mental health. We're talking about big, like overarching community topics. We want the community to, be present. We want to bring people from Baltimore to talk to people in Baltimore about mental health, because there's some really amazing work that's happening. And the genesis of this is we were out when we actually met you all in Baltimore. We just were like, this is amazing, the work that the community is doing. And we want to be part of it. Like we want to talk to this community about mental health, because
you guys are a healing city.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the work we do is about healing. So we're like, why don't we come to Baltimore, talk about healing, talk about trauma, talk about what mental health is, how to get help with your mental health. We want women to meet other therapists. Because again, like I said, it's hard to find a therapist. So we're going to have therapists there for people to meet. So if you want the resource, it's coming right here at you. So we really want Black women to know you are centered. We are thinking about you. We are thinking about your mental health.
Yes.
Because you are out here being a mother, a daughter, a auntie, a partner,
Yes.
a boss,
Yes.
and you need some help.
Yes. Hello, a disaster recovery expert. All of these things. Like, we are out here saving the world, y'all. Like,
put your cape down. Put your cape down. We're gonna have, I always when I'm doing events, I always want to make sure that spaces are made for people who have different needs. Like, we want to make sure we got the quiet room for our introverts, our neurodivergent, our people who've overstimulated. We got to make space for everyone, and space is made for everyone.
Listen, I travel with sunglasses and earplugs because sometimes it's just too much. Like, I'll be talking too much and I just need quiet, and I put my little earplugs in and it does what it needs to do.
Yes.
I love that you are thinking of folks who are neurodivergent. Like, that's not even something that most people even say or talk about, but I should have known that it would have been covered here. Like, oh my God, like, this is so amazing. So May 2023. So it's coming up.
Working. We are
right
working
around the corner.
Sign up for the newsletter. Tell them, go to blackwomanbehold.com, sign up for the new.
We do a newsletter twice a month,
okay,
right? With everything that we have going on. So you sign up for that. You'll get all the information. And if you need any resources, they're on the website as well. Check out our podcast when we talk all things Black women. Because it's Black woman be whole, right? And we say to be whole is to be healed.
Right. Okay.
And so every part of the Black girl we want to talk about. We want to talk about her joy. We want to talk about her pain. We want to talk about all of it.
So before we get there, we're going to close out the new year. So what are some of the ways that we can focus on steps to prepare to close out the new year, focus on our mental health? What are some ways that we can do that based on the things that you know now?
So I think the first thing is you have to ditch the high expectations of the new year. Because those like, oh, this is my resolution. Sometimes we set ourselves up with these unrealistic expectations, right? And so I want people to start small, y'all. Like, and I want us to also celebrate the small wins, because that's what we don't do. People wait, oh, I'm going to celebrate when this happened, but it's always the big stuff. What about the small stuff? Sometimes if I'm depressed, for some depressed people, they can't get out the bed. They don't take a shower. Like, what if you celebrated the fact that I got up, I got dressed, I went to brunch with my friends, I was able to be social? Like, that's worth celebrating. So we want you to start kind of celebrating the small things and ditching those like really high kind of expectation, those big goals.
Lofty goals, right?
Yeah, we got it. Right. Yeah, and I think also take time to recharge.
Oh.
Listen, I think that in this pandemic, we're working more and not less.
Agreed. The days are longer because you're in the comfort of your home. It's a setup. It's a setup, y'all.
It's a setup. I'm sitting in the same seat that I sit in all day. My father comes, look, what you doing? I'm still working. You ain't moved because I'm still working. Yes. So we need some relaxation. We need to really recharge. We need to be compassionate with ourselves, right? And we need to figure out, like, what am I grateful for? I think we just need to pause a little bit in this new year. And it's interesting because Kim and I this weekend are going to Detroit to a mental health gym. Girl.
A mental health gym.
Yes. It's Black owned. Inception. You heard of it?
I think I followed
in Detroit. We going.
Instagram. Yes.
We going to the whole boot camp.
Water things or something like the water slides. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Infrared saunas.
Yes.
We were like, you know what? We are stressed. Okay.
Ooh.
And both of us have some trauma. Let me be real. I am diagnosed with PTSD. I've had three of my boyfriends die before I was 27. Like, no, seriously. And I think that you start to normalize violence. So like,
right.
But I need help. I always need help. I got a therapist. Yeah. Let me tell y'all need a team. Whoever's watching this, y'all need a team of people. I got a therapist. I got a nutritionist on my team. I got a physical therapist. Now I go somewhere and just get stretched because I'm getting older. But listen, you need more than one person.
You go to a chiropractor?
Oh yeah, all of that. Because you got it. You got some. You need. You need people to help keep you together.
Yeah.
We got to stop thinking we can do it all on our own.
Right.
Okay, and I'm going to add, go get your financial planner because you got to get your money
on.
right. Money and mental health, because guess what? If
Financial
you don't have any
wellness
money, you
matters.
stressed out.
Listen.
You stressed out.
We started off talking about, I told you I don't like thinking about my money. I need to be able to put my thing on auto
Right.
pay. Some things need
Right.
to clear. They don't need to be
Right.
bouncing all around town. Like,
Exactly.
deal with that, okay?
Now, you know what? I definitely think I want to add, like, whatever your routines are, just look at them and see if they're working for you. If they didn't work for you, and you just tweak them, you know, maybe
Right.
I could have did a little more if I got up 30 minutes more, but guess what? I meditated or I
Right.
read. And so therefore I got to let some stuff go about things that I should have, could have, would have did.
You know what's interesting about meditation? Like, before, when I was in corporate America, I didn't make time for it. Now I make all the time for it.
Yes, I love it.
But people would say, you know, you need to make time for meditation. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And they're like, oh, well, then instead of 5 minutes, you need 20 minutes. And I'm like, did you not hear? I just said I don't have time for it. And you basically quadrupled the time that you said, are you not? And now it makes sense, right? But it would trigger me in so many ways. Like, are y'all not listening? Everybody has the same response, and y'all are all getting on my nerves with that. Okay, stop.
Right.
But now it makes sense. It's like, I wish they would have explained it a little bit more, because now, so having these conversations, like, puts things in perspective in a lot of ways. Like, you don't know that you need that type of self-care because you never experienced it. You don't know what you're missing.
And self-care is community care, right? Like, recharge so you can get back in it. And I think you know, I definitely, like, with my friends, we get together at the end of the year and we just sort of like talk about what worked, what didn't, what we want to do different, and how do we hold each other accountable. Like, you know, Ednesha's one of my accountability partners. We look at each other like, what happened?
Right.
What happened was,
and also, how can I help you? Like, if I can, right? I think that's also a big part. Like, if I can help you, how can I help you? Because we all need help. And I think that that's the issue. I think America is very individualistic, right? Like, oh, I'm good on my own. I don't need nobody.
You say America, which is really, like, nice, but I'm like, white supremacy has taken us from our tribal ways because we are communal and tribal. But you can say it the way that you say it because it sounds pleasant. So go ahead.
I mean, but you understand where I'm coming from, because community is important, especially as a Black woman. My community is everything to me. I am nothing without my community, without my supports. So y'all need to go out there and find your community. I think I would say that too. For all my people who, like, have some trust issues, who don't really get out much, find your community. Go to a meetup. Go find some people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in.
Right.
And make some friends.
Right.
Because whoever told you don't need friends, they lied.
Yeah.
We need people. Who are we if we're not in relationship with others?
Right. We are tribal. And if you don't believe it, like, look, like, I'm not going to say what it says about the married women.
Just do it.
Married men live longer than most other whomevers, right? And that's
I've seen that.
A companion. That's because they have a partnership, right?
Yes.
So think about that. Like, on another note, like, single women live longer than married women, but we're not going to talk about that.
I'm trying to stay juicy until I'm 70.
Find your community, because the single women are having long life expectancies too. Or get your Black Women Be Whole workbook. Like, let's start there.
Yes. Like, what is your big juicy vision for yourself? I think a lot of us, we don't see the end because we're so mired in all the drudgery of life and work and people and things.
Survival.
Like, you can't even dream or imagine or be creative. Like, I want to be on a farm with my own food, looking up at the stars. That's my end life goal. But right now I'm in the city trying to grind and make it happen. And so I got to reverse engineer this.
Listen, please, y'all have got to come to our weekly wellness walk.
Yes.
One of the girls here in Baltimore,
come on, Christmas
farm, goats, chickens. Like, look, come through, pull up. We got a whole farm. We're gonna have our whole book with us.
Yes, it is an easy Christmas present. Get one for your auntie, your girl, everybody.
I love this. Okay, so I'm gonna have to order some for my Voltrina tribe for our
Okay, come on with your tribe.
look.
Yes.
I told you we tribal, y'all. Like these are
Yeah.
the language. This is the words that we use because we mean it. Like this is what we're
Yes.
living. Yes, tribal life. I see
I
that.
love it.
Okay,
Yes.
so again, how do we get the book? The website. Say it again.
www.blackwomanbewhole.com. We've had it spelled a couple of different ways. They be like, no, that's not it.
Right.
Like wholeness,
Yes.
wholesome, whole.
Wholesome.
And
Be
come check
whole.
us out on Instagram or Facebook at Black Woman Be Whole. We make it real easy. It's all the same across the board, wherever you try and find us.
And how do we find your podcast?
On Spotify, all the places that
Anchor,
Apple.
Apple. We're on Google.
Same
And it's
name,
just Black Woman Be Whole.
Black
That's
Woman Be
it.
Whole.
We're trying
That's
to keep it all
easy.
The branding is
the branding.
in sync, okay? The ladies are the brand, and they got this thing down pat.
Oh,
Please
look,
come
okay. And
follow
you can
us.
show her your Black Girl Joy shirt. Well, I forgot to bring mine to South Carolina.
Yes, Black Girl Joy.
Oh, we have these on the website too. Okay. Yes, we do.
Okay, so we got merch, we got workbooks, we got workshops, like conferences, like
we have events. Yes.
Yes.
I think we just want a space where Black women feel centered, supported, where they can unpack their stuff, they can reflect, they can heal. That's it. Because that's something that was not given to me. And sometimes if you can't find it, then you got to make it.
Yeah.
We couldn't find it. So we was like, all right, then I guess we'll have to come up with it.
But not only that, like you deserve to have a space where you could be soft, where we don't feel like we're fighting, where we don't feel like we're trying to survive or try to outsmart the person across from us. No, we're just trying to share information and be loved on. So that shared space and sacred space, I'm all about that because so many people are marginalized and it just breaks my heart. It's like, for what? Just treat humans like humans and we'll get along. I promise.
I want things modeled for me because I didn't have all the tools. Like, let me see something different because I need to pick some things up that I need to definitely like observe and kind of work on. Like, ooh,
right. Come to a workshop where it could be modeled for you. Maybe you can learn a lot from other women. You really can. I think that's the beauty of it.
And you said this is going to be a 2-day conference.
Well, we're working on 2 days. We're definitely going to have it for 1. We're working on trying to have it for 2. It's in the works.
Okay, I'm about to text y'all afterwards, like what we need to make it to, because
well, we are, Quita, we are coming to Baltimore to talk to some people, so
that's what
we got to talk.
Yes, look,
we're also looking for people who want to be part of it, like for your listeners.
Partner with us, no, it's really important. We want the community of Baltimore to be a part of this. Right, you are our whole city. We are grateful that we can come there and bring this to the city. So we want people from Baltimore to be a part of it. So don't think that you wasn't on the list, ma'am, to get a phone call, because you are.
Okay, all right. So y'all already know I'm gonna get a call. So folks who are listening and watching,
Chap is getting a call too. Everybody getting a call.
Listen, y'all ain't said nothing, but don't threaten me with a good time. Okay.
Oh, yes.
She will be there, bells, whistles, and tribe behind. Let's do it.
Thank you so much for having us. Like, we really, truly appreciate it. We're very grateful.
We're gonna
any opportunity we're given
before May, probably sometime after the holiday.
Okay, we love it.
Super excited.
Yes, we are too.
He had to go and give my good friend Dougie a big old hug. Dougie was going through some stuff, but that's
no.
Dougie's another good hugger, y'all. So when y'all come back,
I'm gonna get a hug. Well, I just want a hug from you. I don't know if Chap is doing hugs or Dougie.
I'll take one.
I need a hug from Chap and a hug from Dougie. Okay.
Yes, because the connection matters, y'all.
Yes,
we're gonna get off for now, but
thank you guys.
I appreciate
Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year, whatever. All of it.
All that stuff, right? All the good stuff. See you, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.